Look, as far as racism and all this political stuff going on in America, I understand why middle class America is tired of us Mexican folks. I'm not saying that I agree with it or that I disagree with it. I'm just saying that I understand why. You see, in the United States of America, there are 50 different nationalities coming from 50 different countries, and they're all coming to one country, right? We got the Punjabis, the Hindus, the Pakistanis, the Afghanis, the Syrians. We got the Haitians, Jamaicans, Cubans, Koreans, Japanese, Vietnamese, Chinese, Russians, Armenians, Puerto Ricans, Africans. We got all these different nationalities, right? And then you got us Mexicans. Out of all those different immigrants coming from their country to the United States, us Mexicans are the only ones coming in hot with our Hecho en Mexico hats. Mexican pride, Chicano pride, brown pride. We're coming in hot with our pueblos blasted on our trucks, with our Mexican flags hanging. And you know, back in the 60s and the 70s, us Mexican folks came in humbly, looking for work, looking for a better life. Nowadays, in 2000 and up, it's like people from Mexico are coming over aggressive. You know, we're refusing to learn English. We're refusing to adapt to the culture. And we're the only immigrants coming in like that, right? Because you don't see no Asians blasting their pueblos or their cities on the back of their car, or their Chinese flag, or their Japanese flag, or their hats. And you hear all these other immigrants, the Arabs, the Middle Eastern folks, Asian folks, you hear them making an effort to speak English, right? And they speak with a funny accent, but it's okay, right? At least they're making the effort. You try to speak to a Mexican immigrant in English, and it's like a deer in headlights. Looks to the left, looks to the right, and won't even try to speak it, right? It won't even try to conversate with you. So what I'm saying is this: us Mexican folks, you ever heard the term, the squeaky wheel gets the grease? Well, I see it now. I see how we're coming in squeaky from our country, right? But we can't handle the grease. We're over here getting greased because we're coming in squeaky, but we ain't handling the grease. So what I'm saying is, everybody wants to talk about on the news about how hard it is right now to be a Mexican immigrant. Check this out. Yeah, it's hard to be a Mexican immigrant, I would imagine. But try being a Chicano in America. According to your skin complexion, you ain't American enough. And according to your Spanish accent, you ain't Mexican enough. And you're in no man's land. You're stuck in purgatory because you ain't Mexican enough and you ain't American enough because you're mixed. I'm going to tell you something straight up. You see, I wouldn't trade my brown skin for the world. But I'm here to tell you guys that us brown, Hispanic, Mexican folks, we should be the last to be complaining and crying about racism. Because we are the most aggressive, the most judgmental, culture conscious, racist, prejudiced, stereotypical immigrant out of all 50 different immigrants. Look, I'm a Chicano, right? And I speak good Spanish, but apparently I have an accent. You know, I've worked at many empaques before. I grew up working in empaques, production lines. And I always try to keep my speaking to the Mexican folks to a minimum because they hear that accent or they sense an accent. It's on and cracking. They start with their questions. ¿De dónde naciste? Where were you born? ¿De dónde son sus padres? Where your parents from? And they have that look on their face, questioning, like, when I tell them, hey, my dad's from Mexico, and my mom was born here, and then it's right away, like, why didn't your dad or your mom or your grandparents teach you Spanish? You know what I'm saying? And you could be in the middle of a conversation with them, and then they stop you on your tracks to question your accent. You see, that's disrespect right there. Because last time that I checked, we were in the United States of America, and people spoke English here. You get what I'm saying? So I was born here, right? And I apologize for if I have an accent in my Spanish. You get what I'm saying? Sorry. And here's another thing. You know, growing up, when I went to elementary school, I was in the bilingual classes, and there was some Chicanos, there was white kids, and there was the Mexicans straight from Mexico, right? And they were trying to learn English. Teachers in my elementary school would have the Mexican immigrant kids sit in the front and us in the back, right? And so we'd be sitting in the back, right? And if there was like a problem we had a question for, if I raised my hand and the Mexican kid rose his hand at the same time, the teacher would prioritize and go to him. And sometimes I'd get forgotten about. And that's why I fell behind in school a lot. You see, and that ain't cool. And then later on, I go to college, right? I go to college for 2 semesters. I try to apply for help, and I didn't qualify. So I had to pay for my education. I had to pay for my books, everything, right? When I get to class, I find out that most of the kids there were there free. They didn't have to pay for their books. They didn't have to pay for their classes, just based on the fact that their parents were immigrants and they qualified for an immigrant program. You see, look, here's the thing. This country treats immigrants better than its own citizens. But look, us Mexican folks don't even show any gratitude towards America. We've been here 30, 40, 50 years, and we don't even try to learn English. See, if we don't learn English or speak the language, how are we going to show common courtesy or mannerism? If you don't understand, how can you communicate? That's going to cause frustration. You see, if I was in Mexico, if I was an American and I moved to Mexico and I had been living there for 20, 30, 40 years, and I didn't speak a lick of Spanish, that would be disrespectful to the Mexican culture. Because if I don't speak the language, how am I going to display common courtesy? I'm going to tell you a little story about a white boy that moved into our Chicano neighborhood when we were younger. His last name was Anderson. He was the only white boy. And we used to beat his ass and bully him and make fun of him based on his skin color. Because he was white, we would call him names like Bird Shit, Powder, Tin Man, See-Through, Casper. We'd clown on him, right? He didn't have a racist bone in his body. But one day, he decided to fight back and call us wetback. And we shit ourselves. And we jumped him. And we beat him up. And just basically make fun of him, right? The only reason why we did that was because he was a white boy in America. Can you imagine had it had been the other way around? Had it had been a bunch of white kids jumping a Mexican because he was Mexican? The world would be outraged. Oh, but it's okay for us to do it to the white person. You see, and we're still like that. You see, ever since Trump went into office and gave middle-class America a reason to be proud and raise their American flag, you see, we see a white dude raising an American flag and we're offended. We're looking at him like he's a Nazi or something. Look, this is America. They have the right to raise the American flag. There's no reason why we should look at it as being prejudiced, because all these years, we've been the prejudiced ones. We've been so arrogant. We came in here with our hats, Hecho in Mexico, our flags blasting, our pueblos blasting. Here's where us Mexicans went wrong. We don't teach our kids to be proud to be American. You see, we got all these Chicanos. They were born here and raised here thinking that they're Mexican. And they ain't. They don't have a clue what it's like. I don't know why these parents ain't teaching these kids like, hey, this is a good country. Be proud. Be proud to be from here. Nah, man, we're teaching them to raise a Mexican flag and be all aggressive. We're teaching them all wrong. Look, ever since Trump came in office, we're acting like that spoiled kid in Walmart screaming his head off because he couldn't get a toy. And his parents are walking him out outside the store, causing a scene. That's how we're acting right now. And here's what I don't get. We're so proud of our country, so proud of our origin, so proud of our race, so culture conscious. And we got Trump over here talking about sending us back, and we're outraged. I don't get it. If we're so proud, why? We're outraged because we got too arrogant, we got too cocky, and we got put in our place. And he humbled us. He reminded us, you know, it's a privilege to be here in the United States. Look, this country treats us better than our own country of origin. United States of America treats us Mexican folks, Chicano folks, way better than Mexico does. Mexico don't give a shit about us. Mexico would rather run us out. Mexico don't care about you, don't care about your parents, didn't care about your grandparents. That's why all of us are here. And it's time to face the facts and admit that. Mexico's cool to visit if you have American dollars. But to be from there, we need to keep it real. It sucks. I'm not saying that we deserve to get deported and kicked out. I think the solution is this. We need to just learn to adapt. You know what I'm saying? How are we going to claim to be the biggest, baddest race, the superior race in the workforce, and we can't even learn English? Hindus have been here 3, 4, 5 years. And they speak their language, English, and Spanish. Chinese folks, they make the effort. Broken English, but they still make the effort. And we clown on them. Us Mexican folks clown on Asians, big time. Don't act like we don't. But if an Asian kid started clowning on us with our accent, America would be outraged, right? Look, we need to just, this is it. We ain't the only immigrants in America. There's 49 or 50 plus different immigrants coming from different countries. And they're learning English. And they're proud of their culture, but they ain't being invasive about it like we are. Look, if we're going to be coming in hot with our flags blasting, we better be prepared to get greased. Don't go crying to people like Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Take it like a man. You want to come in here squeaky? You're going to get greased. Anyways, folks, thank you.